Some Hollywood legends are built on genius. Others are propped up by secrets and scars left behind. For decades, Alfred Hitchcock's name meant suspense, terror, and artistic brilliance. But behind the camera, his obsession with one woman, Tippi Hedren, turned a dream into a nightmare. Today, we uncover the disturbing truth behind Hedren's hatred for Hitchcock, the real story Hollywood tried to keep buried, and why the pain of those years haunted her for life. This isn't just a tale about a director and his star. It's about power, control, and a woman who refused to break, no matter the cost. A small-town girl with big dreams. Tippi Hedren's story didn't begin in the glitz of Hollywood, but in the quiet town of New Ulm, Minnesota, where survival meant grit and determination. Born on January 19th, 1930, Tippi was raised amid the hardships of the Great Depression. Her parents ran a general store and scraped by, but even as a child, Tippi stood out. Her father called her Tippi, a Swedish nickname for little girl, hinting at her Scandinavian roots. Life in rural Minnesota was far from glamorous. Each day was a lesson in perseverance. But from the start, Tippi found joy where she could, nurturing a love for nature and developing a relentless work ethic. At 10, she took her first steps into the spotlight as a local theater extra. It was a fleeting moment, but it planted the seed for bigger dreams she couldn't even name yet. On her 20th birthday, Tippi did something bold. With just $500 in her pocket, she left everything behind and caught a train to New York City. She shared a cramped apartment with other hopefuls and lived on canned soup. Every day was a grind, shuttling from one agency to another, enduring rejection after rejection. In just her first month, she was turned down 387 times, but giving up wasn't in her DNA. Then fate intervened. While grabbing coffee one morning, she caught the eye of Eileen Ford, co-founder of the famous Ford modeling agency. Ford saw something special and soon had Tippi signed within 2 months of her arrival. Ford enrolled her in etiquette and speech classes, helping her polish every aspect of her image. Tippi practiced for hours, determined to make it. Soon, the magazine covers followed. Glamour, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar. By 1955, she was earning $1,000 a day, unheard of at the time. For Tippi, it was proof that resilience could rewrite a life. The commercial that changed everything. By the early 1960s, Tippi Hedren was a familiar face to millions, not just in magazines but in the burgeoning world of television commercials. In October 1961, she filmed a short, simple ad for a diet drink called Sego. She strolled down a city street, elegant and poised, and smiled at a man's whistle. It was a fleeting moment, but it would change the course of her life. Alfred Hitchcock, already a Hollywood legend, happened to catch the commercial on television. The image of Tippi, poised, enigmatic, and undeniably magnetic, sparked something in him. He turned to his team and asked, "Who's that girl?" That question triggered a chain reaction. A few days later, Tippi got a mysterious call from an agent at MCA Universal. A producer wanted to meet her, but she wasn't told who. At Universal Studios, she met Lew Wasserman, the head of the studio. He offered her a 7-year contract. Only after the papers were signed did she learn it was Alfred Hitchcock who wanted her. In the blink of an eye, her destiny was tied to the master of suspense, the most expensive screen test in Hollywood. Hitchcock was known for his meticulous attention to detail, and with Tippi, he was no different. He spent $25,000, the most ever at the time, on her screen test, flying in actor Martin Balsam and directing every moment himself. Tippi, who had never acted before, was thrust into scenes from Rebecca and Notorious. The experience was daunting, but she pushed herself, determined not to disappoint. At a lavish lunch, Hitchcock finally revealed the truth. Tippi would star in his new film, The Birds. He presented her with a gold pin shaped like 3 birds, a symbol of her new role, and, as it turned out, a harbinger of the cage he was building around her. Hitchcock took charge of every detail. He arranged for acting lessons, wardrobe fittings, even lessons in animal behavior and art appreciation. He insisted her name always appear as Tippi, believing it added an aura of mystery. He controlled her diet, her appearance, her public persona, crafting her not just as an actress, but as his own ideal creation. The Nightmare Behind the Birds shooting for the birds began in March 1962. At first, the experience was exhilarating. Hitchcock told reporters Tippi was incredible, already displaying the highs and lows of terror. But as filming dragged on, the process turned punishing. The infamous bedroom attack scene was a turning point. Tippi was told mechanical birds would be used, but when the cameras rolled, it was live birds, thrown at her relentlessly, their beaks bound with rubber bands but still vicious and unpredictable. For 5 days, she endured the chaos, getting pecked, scratched, and battered. A bird narrowly missed her eye, and the stress finally broke her. She collapsed on set, sobbing, her nerves shredded. A doctor examined her and insisted she take a week off. Hitchcock protested, but the doctor stood firm. "Are you trying to kill her?" Even Hitchcock seemed shaken by the ordeal. Other scenes were no better. Supposedly shatterproof glass shattered in the phone booth scene, spraying Tippi with fragments that took hours to remove. Over 3,200 birds were used during production. The physical and emotional toll was immense, but Tippi delivered a performance that would win her a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer. When The Birds premiered in 1963, it was a sensation. But for Tippi, the trauma lingered. The Nightmare Behind the Birds. After The Birds, Hitchcock offered Tippi the lead in Marnie, a psychologically complex thriller. The role was demanding. Tippi spent hours with psychologists, preparing to portray a woman battling deep emotional wounds. But behind the scenes, Hitchcock's obsession with her had turned dark. He controlled every part of her life. What she wore, what she ate, even how her name appeared in the credits, always as Tippi. His car would routinely pass her house, a not-so-subtle reminder that she was always being watched. On set, his gaze became increasingly unsettling. He made inappropriate advances, first in the back of a limousine, lunging at her, trying to kiss her, and then horrifyingly in her dressing room. Hitchcock had a private door installed so he could enter unannounced. One day he crossed a line Tippi would never forgive. He groped her in a way she later described as sexual, perverse, and ugly. He hired private investigators to follow her, analyzed her handwriting, eavesdropped on her phone calls, and left food at her door, sometimes under the guise of guidance, other times as an intrusion into her private life. On set, he made her repeat emotionally devastating scenes until she broke down, believing that pain translated to better art. Tippi felt trapped. Hitchcock's manipulation extended to threats. When she finally confronted him and asked to be released from her contract, he warned, "I'll ruin your career." And he meant it, paying the price for refusing to break. For 2 years, Tippi was paid to do nothing. Hitchcock refused to let her work for anyone else, blocking offers from other directors, including François Truffaut, and even preventing her from accepting an award in New York. While the world saw Hitchcock as a genius, Tippi was locked in a professional prison. Unable to get film roles, she pivoted to television, taking whatever jobs she could just to keep working. She appeared in shows like Kraft Suspense Theater, Run for Your Life, and The Courtship of Eddie's Father. The roles weren't glamorous, but they were a lifeline. Ironically, in 1985, Tippi found herself playing a waitress in an episode of The New Alfred Hitchcock Presents, alongside her daughter Melanie Griffith. It was a bittersweet reminder of her complicated past with the director, finding freedom and a new purpose. Tippi never let Hitchcock's sabotage destroy her spirit. She worked with directors like Charlie Chaplin, who, unlike Hitchcock, was collaborative and generous on set. Chaplin cast her in A Countess from Hong Kong, though her role turned out to be much smaller than expected. Still, she cherished the experience, seeing it as proof that she could survive in Hollywood without Hitchcock's shadow. Her passion took a new direction in 1969 when she rescued an abandoned lion cub while filming in Mozambique. That moment sparked a lifelong commitment to big cats. By the 1970s, her California home became a sanctuary for over 150 rescued lions, tigers, and cheetahs. Tippi and her husband, Noel Marshall, eventually founded the Shambhala Preserve, dedicating their lives to animal welfare. The couple even made a movie, Roar, starring Tippi, Melanie, and Noel's sons, using real, untrained big cats. The shoot was chaotic and dangerous. Melanie was mauled by a lion and needed surgery. Floods destroyed the set, and the budget ballooned to $17 million. When Roar flopped, Tippi and Noel's marriage ended, but her commitment to animal rights only grew stronger. Survivor, advocate, legend. Tippi Hedren's life became a story of survival, resilience, and advocacy. She continued acting into her 70s and 80s, appearing in films like I Heart Huckabees and TV shows such as The 4400 and Fashion House. Her legacy, though, was cemented by her activism. She founded the Roar Foundation and successfully lobbied for the Big Cat Public Safety Act, which President Joe Biden signed into law in 2022, making it illegal to privately own big cats in the U.S. Even into her 90s, Tippi cared for dozens of animals, her determination undimmed. Her impact reached far beyond Hollywood. Her daughter, Melanie Griffith, and granddaughter, Dakota Johnson, both credited her as an inspiration, proof that a woman could survive the worst and still thrive. Speaking the truth. Long before the Sonar Me Too movement, Tippi spoke out about Hitchcock's abuse. In her 2016 memoir, Tippi, she described the trauma and manipulation she endured, refusing to stay silent, even as Hollywood looked away. I am sick and tired of answering the question about Alfred Hitchcock making advances upon me, she said. People love to read about things like that. They love it. For those of us who have had to live it, I am tired of talking about it. Her honesty forced Hollywood to confront the darker side of its legends. She became not just a survivor, but a symbol of courage, persistence, and the refusal to let anyone define her story. Tippi Hedren never forgave Alfred Hitchcock, and now the world knows exactly why. What she endured wasn't just a private pain. It was a battle for dignity against one of Hollywood's most powerful men. Yet she emerged not as a victim, but as a fighter who turned her trauma into action, transforming lives both human and animal. Tippi's story reminds us that legacies aren't just built on talent or fame. They're forged in the courage to tell the truth, no matter the cost. If you found this story as powerful as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood histories.